You seem to be the godfather of the tech ecosystem. Why is that?
I've been doing this for so long, nurturing the community, and that's only because I know where all the dead bodies and all the dead programs are, including some of my own. Was I did these online Zoom roundtables, and I did 150 of over 150 of them.
What?
Our guest today is James Barrood, founder and CEO of Innovation Plus, a two-time TEDx speaker, podcast host, and author. He spent over 25 years building the entrepreneurial and innovation ecosystem in the New York City metro region, mentoring startups, running executive education programs in AI, and leading Fairleigh Dickinson University's top-ranked entrepreneurship center for more than a decade.
Everyone can be a connector. All they have to do is think just a little bit about who can help someone. When you see people in your network that lost their job or in a bad place or you haven't heard from them, just reach out.
Reach out.
Offer the help. The important thing is you will have helped someone. That's a great feeling.
So everyone, welcome to the show. I have the pleasure of having Jim Barrood here, who I met last year when had no idea how we didn't cross each other's paths. We knew so many of the same people. But Jim has spent over 25 years building entrepreneurial innovation in tech. That is his thing. He currently leads Innovation Plus, the curated global community of more than 10,000 entrepreneurs, which is really, really impressive. You see it on his LinkedIn. He's doing things, connecting with all the people, helping create a beautiful community, and part of scaling companies and higher education institutions as a startup advisor. And so he's part of the New Jersey Tech Council, Tech United, his credibility, TEDx talk, all the things. I'm going to let Jim talk about them because the list is long. And so, Jim, the first question I have, I'm going to have you just introduce yourself. And then the second question is going to be, you seem to be the godfather of the tech ecosystem. Why is that?
Well, thanks for having me, Radia. This is really a delight. I credit sort of my experience to just longevity. I've been doing this for so long, nurturing the community. And yeah, people joke about me being the godfather of the community. And that's only because I know where all the dead bodies and all the dead programs are, including some of my own. All ecosystems go through ups and downs, and New Jersey and the region has gone through a lot of ups and downs, right? And so a lot of organizations and a lot of companies start initiatives to help further innovation and entrepreneurship, and invariably some work and some don't. So I've seen a lot, and I've been part of a lot, and I'm really just delighted to have been so involved with the community and been able to help so many people. So that really gives me a lot of intangible satisfaction over the years.
Wonderful. So where did it start? I mean, your education is a bit around this, right? So
Yeah.
where did the entrepreneurial, it was like you're like a born entrepreneur yourself. So that start where the passions start.
Well, I do come from an entrepreneurial family, right? My family had their own real estate, insurance, travel business for many, many years. And so when I graduated, I went to Rutgers. And, once I graduated Rutgers, I went and worked for my family business, right? And then
Was it family business?
this was mostly the real estate part of it. And I decided after 4 years, I said, I really don't want to do this. I want to do something else in business. And I was always obviously interested in entrepreneurship. So I went to Texas A&M for my MBA, and I needed to get to another region that was like another country. And then I did exchange programs in Germany. And so it was a great MBA program and a lot of fun. But when I came back, I was about to take a marketing job at Brother International, and I saw this position at Fairleigh Dickinson for an entrepreneurship center, associate director. And I was like, I'm really interested in entrepreneurship, always reading these magazines. Why don't I try this for 2 or 3 years and then move on, right? And so I ended up staying there 17 years and then ran it for most of that period. And it was a great experience, right? Didn't get rich from it, but it was a great experience. Building the bridges between academia and industry, helping so many entrepreneurial students and entrepreneurs in the community was really great. And then I was drafted to lead the New Jersey Tech Council, now Tech United, and ran that for just over 5 years. And then fortuitously left right before the pandemic. But that was also a great experience where we grew to over 1,000 members, and it was really one of the most, prestigious tech councils in the country. So that was really great, an extension, a bigger platform for me, right?
Yeah.
And so after that, I, during the pandemic, spun out some educational programs, online educational programs, and then started doing more advisory work because I have a great network for just, again, longevity. Once we were out of COVID, mostly small events, but sometimes big ones. And then actually developed something called the Innovate 100, which again, that was actually started during the pandemic. We did a virtual one.
Ah.
Wasn't as
Oh, I
big.
didn't know that. Okay.
It wasn't as big, but it was highlighted sort of the great innovations coming out of COVID, right? The
I love it.
response, the treatments, the vaccines,
Yeah.
and then we did it in person in 2024, much larger Innovate 100 program, which honored innovative leaders like yourself across industries, and that's been a fun program too. So a lot of different things, just a lot of balls in the air, having fun, trying to have balance. During COVID, I have to say, so many entrepreneurial businesses were started, and
Yeah.
and I have to say, including my own ventures started, and that's been really satisfying because I've always been sort of nurturing other entrepreneurs. And here I am spinning out 5, 6 companies over the past 6 years. So that's really been a lot of fun.
And you mentioned in your TED Talk, I just know that's also just the person that you are, is that super connector and that you relied on your relationships. I feel like a lot of leaders do start the networking when it's sometimes a little too late, when they need it. And I always think there's an importance of starting it up front early. What did you do to nurture that?
Yeah, for sure. So from the start, right, from the Entrepreneurship Center, those relationships were always important, right? We folks who work in nonprofits know the importance of relationships, right? Because again, I was in academia, then I was in a nonprofit, right? And you're always asking for resources or money,
Yes.
funding. So building those relationships are so critically important. And it's just a matter of consistency and follow up at the end of the day. And I just being a nice person,
Yeah.
being friendly with everyone and being engaged is really what it takes. But you're right. Most people don't start until it's too late. They're in the grind, they're working their butts off,
Yeah.
right? And they can't take the time, even though it's so much easier now with LinkedIn, so much easier, but you still have to put the time in.
You do.
You still have to manage put that time in every week
Yes.
to nurture those relationships because those are going to be so important for you. And if they're not so important in your current job, I mean, I'm sure they can be and are regardless of your job, right? But they're going to be so important when the time comes to move on.
Yes. Absolutely.
Regardless of why you're moving on, how you're moving on, right? Or what age you are, right?
Yeah.
So I can't sort of recommend enough the importance of building and nurturing relationships. And it's again so much easier these days with the tools we have online.
True. There's so much more of an opportunity now to showcase what you do, to connect with people you never could in person. And you do an amazing job of also highlighting so much of other people's success. So it's easy for them to see. How much time do you think you spend just on like LinkedIn, social media, or in general? I feel like you're everywhere in my feed always.
I mean, I have more flexibility than I've had ever in my past. So probably actually it's not that bad. It's probably an hour a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not bad. It's not that much. It's just you just got to sort of be disciplined about it, right? So consistency is important.
And that relationship side, I literally remember the phone call in May of last year when you had called me when I was part of Innovate 100. And I think there was a name changing companies. And I just remember like immediately when you were on the phone, I don't know what it was that you said. And when I spoke to Rich, I just thought, this guy's like super warm. The first time I ever met you, talked to you on the phone, wasn't even, face to face. And I'm like, this guy truly cares. And so I feel like it's got to be like just an innate thing. You think that's just like you love people?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I'm always very open to meeting new people.
Yeah,
I'm very curious.
that's it. Yeah,
And, I just, that's really important to me
that's great.
to have relationships and have a variety and diversity of folks in my community and network.
It's so great. I think that your ability just to make people feel seen, and I think that's such an important part of networking, where people are going to events and they have an agenda, and to drop the agenda and just go. And your events have been, I have to say, I had a fear of networking events. I still do, even though everyone thinks I'm an extrovert. I'm very much an ambivert. And the last one that was done at FDU was like, I mean, actually, the couple I've gone to have been amazing and one of my favorites. So I so appreciate that. So you do a good job of just relationship building. It doesn't feel like anyone is in there hard selling someone. It's just they're making friends, which is really amazing.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, it's completely true. I did a video on Instagram about it. I was like, I finally like networking. Thanks to Jim.
Oh my God. Well, and I think you're sort of articulating something that I think people feel, right? Because after COVID, the importance of engaging one-on-one with people and building relationships is so important. We realize how important it is. And sometimes we got to push ourselves. But
Yeah.
after we do it, invariably, we feel really good about it. And I know I do. Like sometimes I don't want to go someplace and sometimes I'm tired or I don't want to spend an hour in traffic
Yeah.
in our lovely state. And I get there, I'm like, I'm so glad just because I
Yeah.
met one person that said one thing that turned into one opportunity or one connection, it was worth it.
Yeah.
And I have to say that also extends to networking and an event, right? Sometimes you're in our bubble. We just want to talk to people who look like us,
So
or
true.
we already know. And I encourage people, I encourage myself, I encourage my kids to just talk to the person who's all alone in the corner.
Yeah.
Who isn't is not super, say, look like you, or it doesn't look like they're interesting, or whatever. Or if for some reason you don't want to go talk to them because it's a risk. Just
Yeah.
go talk to them because those are the ones that are the most interesting.
Yeah.
They don't look, you can't judge a book by its cover. You can't judge a person by how they look,
Yeah.
right? They're not going to necessarily look like you. They can be very old, especially young people are scared to talk to older people.
Yeah.
Kind of intimidating. Like those are the people who have the most experience.
Yeah.
And can sort of be an unlock for you if
Yeah.
you talk to them and engage them in a thoughtful way.
They were there once before, and oftentimes they love to mentor other people too.
For sure.
So let's say 20 plus years, what are the values that drive you? What are just a few values that are like top of mind for you? How do you operate? Like integrity, kindness, compassion.
Yeah, I think those are clearly there, right? I mean, I'm an open book, right? And I always am very trusting. I'm probably too trusting, and in some ways, I think the benefits outweigh the risk. So I'll always give people the benefit of the doubt, and see what they're all about, and be open.
Yeah.
That's sort of that's a great. I think even though sometimes I get burnt, right? But just people, maybe not terribly great. It's worth it just to be open-minded in general. Just and be nice to everyone and give first. That's a big thing, right? Just try to help people, right? And everyone can do that. Now, fortunately, I can do that now more than most people, right? Because I'm at a stage in my life where I can do that. I have a great network. I want to help people. I don't need anything back.
Yeah.
It's a great feeling.
Yeah.
And again, because I come from the nonprofit arena, that's always been in my ethos.
Yeah.
Is to help people, regardless of if they're a student or a retiree, everything in between. And so I encourage people to do that as well.
That's great. So service is a huge driver as well, a big one for you. What is your long term, what's the strategy? Because I'm still blown away by the 10,000 entrepreneurs and innovators that you have together. But what do you see the community, the tech council, where do you see that? From what you're doing and what you're building and how much you're out there?
Yeah.
What's the long game? What's the legacy?
I am not a great planner, Radia, and that's one of my failings. I haven't, I just go with the flow. I do, I see opportunities and I take advantage of them or try to.
Yeah.
If I had to put again, what I'm doing now is a lot of fun and I'm having positive impact on the community.
Yes.
So that's really lovely. If I can continue doing that and have fun, that's great, right? I don't need to do anything or check off anything anymore. I mean, I like to speak at conferences. So I like to sit on boards and things like that. So I could probably do a little more of that, but maybe 5 years, I'll probably still be doing a lot of the similar things, but maybe traveling more, seeing the world and speaking at more conferences. I think that would be one of my goals because this way I can sort of help more people, right? Help more people, meet new people, and, enjoy learning about new things. Right?
Do you imagine speaking at conferences or events like you did with Innovate?
I expect to mostly speak to I think I'll continue this Innovate, obviously. That could expand as well. But the point is really, I'd rather just travel and speak at conferences and meet new people or be engaged in collaborations, some nonprofits, helping have impact. There's a lot of opportunities out there to make a difference. And so if I could do that on a more global level,
okay.
that's going to be gratifying going forward in the future. So
do you see pockets of where globally, would you say, hey, if I was able to go travel this place next couple months, is there areas, pockets where you want more innovation to be able to duplicate what you're doing here?
Well, I think it could be anywhere actually, right? I mean, because thriving ecosystems are good for everyone.
Yeah.
And so I'll be going to South America this fall. So that should be interesting. And I was hoping to get to
Great.
Africa in December, November, right? And I'm not sure if that's going to happen this year, but maybe next year.
Okay.
But, there's so many, whether it's from developing to developed countries, obviously developing countries need more help.
Yeah.
So that could be interesting. But all countries really need a more robust ecosystem because it helps the economy, helps sort of the culture. And that's really a big positive.
And when you go to South America, is there an event that you'll be speaking out there?
I'm going to one in Guatemala,
Oh, wow. Amazing.
Labor Day week, some tech summit.
Okay. Very
Hopefully, or tentatively Uruguay in October, and then
amazing.
Jamaica probably in December. So I think that's my tentative schedule for the rest of the year.
Wow.
So that's exciting, but who knows what will intervene? Anything's possible. And fortunately, again, I have that flexibility to take advantage of opportunities that pop up.
And you're speaking at all of those?
Networking, relationships,
Really?
right? The one in Guatemala I've been thinking about for a while. I connected with someone who spoke at it before, and they made the introduction. And that's how that happened. The Uruguayan one, I was in Miami speaking at a tech conference, and there was a mission from Uruguay.
Wow.
And I connected with them, and they were having a conference in October, and they invited me to speak. And so, again, it just happens from persistence, right? Relationship building, some luck. And I think that's with anything. As I'm sure, learned, Radia, persistence is an important trait.
Yeah.
Just being engaged and following up and being kind.
Yes.
Being giving, that really helps.
And I think kind of what you mentioned before is you could be trusting at times. And I think sometimes we just need to take the risk regardless, whether it's starting something new, talking to new people, and just getting out of our comfort zone. What would you suggest for people, either like myself or some others that are more introverted? How did they get out of their comfort zone and network?
I would just take it one step at a time and just push yourself. That's it. And just be open. And then reflect on, who you met or what came about from it. And if you do that, and if you follow up, and again, you'll see the good things that come from it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you might not see those good things for months or years.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Totally. I see a lot of professionals fearful of how they're going to come across. So they're going into a room and it's about like, how am I looking? How do I sound? I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of that. And it's all very inward focused versus how do I serve? And I feel like that's how you show up, not how do I think about what I'm going to get out of this.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, there's multiple positive outcomes from that, right? Where you have a loneliness crisis, right? So why wouldn't you push yourself to go out and build relationships? As we get older, we have to start new relationships, and it's hard, especially for, middle-aged older men, like me. And there's a lot of people like me, right? Who are just stuck in their comfort zone. They're grinding away, and they have real routines. They got to get out of the routines and build relationships and build those relationships for the future.
Yeah.
And just, that makes life so much more rich to have multiple relationships and new relationships and even relationships with people from all different backgrounds and all different ages. Some of my most interesting relationships comes from people who are like half my age. It's like remarkable. I mean, I never thought about it before, but it's really been very rewarding for me to have younger friends.
That keeps you young too.
Yeah. Exactly.
I have very close friends that are like much younger and much older. And it's like, I think it just adds a richness to your life in such a different way, which is great.
Yeah, exactly.
So where do you see the councils that you're on, the boards that you're on, the speaking, where do you see that in this year, even if it's even this year?
Everything's chugging along pretty nicely. And I think it's just a matter of doing more within those sort of environments and with those organizations and helping more people.
Doing more and helping more, like what specifically?
Well, let's say events.
Yeah.
More events, right? Mostly smaller events. We have the Innovate 100 has the big event right in May, but then 4 socials throughout the year. Maybe we'll expand to five this year. Those are a lot of fun, as you know.
Yes.
And whenever those are opportunities just to bring together people just for socializing, right? Just for having fun. And I really love those. And I think that's really important. And then, dinners or smaller dinners are nice too. And then again, cheerleading sort of the whole ecosystem is really important to me. So I'm really delighted that I'm able to help and do a lot of fun things, regardless of where they are around the state.
How do people get involved if they weren't nominated, or how do they get involved with Innovate, the socials? Can they get involved outside of a nomination?
Yeah, well, nominations for that program, and those come out, and I think it opens up in December.
Okay.
Uh, Folks who want to know what's going on simply connect with me or go to
Okay.
jerseytechandinnovation.com and just sign up for the newsletter. That's like a bi-weekly, every couple of weeks newsletter mostly. And that will list all the events that are going on throughout the state and the region.
I have a couple more questions. One is thinking about just your success and your track record of just continuously growing and creating these events and making them bigger, and all the people that you serve and help. What was a time for you that might have been challenging, where you went back to that discipline, the resilience, the people, the networking to help you get out of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think during the pandemic, right, was a tricky time.
For sure.
Things weren't going, we obviously none of it expected it.
Yeah.
But for someone who's always been engaged in-person, events and activities, that was kind of hard. And so one of the things, there's actually a positive outcome, was I did these online Zoom roundtables, forums, right? And I did over 150 of them.
What?
During the pandemic, just again, because I had this great community, Radia. So I was just like, what am I going to do here? Because can't get together. So did all these, they were so nice. And then some of those relationships, new people I met through them, still persist today. And so that was sort of, getting hit, with a sucker punch with this pandemic and making something out of it that was really positive.
Yes.
I think that was, and that was sort of, again, that emanated from brainstorming, talking to people, looking at what folks were doing around the country, around the world, who were similar to with my background.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And, sometimes, Roddy, some things come up, some opportunities just from a conversation.
Yeah.
Someone recommends it. And I think someone recommended to me to do this or that during the pandemic. And I can't be thankful enough for that comment or that suggestion. But those things don't come unless you're interacting with a lot of people, right? So that's the importance of engagement.
That's amazing. So just you went online and started running the events?
Yeah. Again, I had a great network, right? So I would curate these roundtables, much like I do at dinners, and I invite folks to them, and whether it was CEOs or HR folks or CIOs, or innovative leaders or investors, and it was really, turned out to be a great initiative, and that made everyone feel connected, right? In a dark time, everyone feel thankful, grateful. And a lot of those relationships that were started by people in those rooms are now like very fruitful, relationships, business, personal. Oh, half of them. I don't want to know half of them. I don't need to know half of them. But I know that made a really positive impact.
Oh, that's incredible. And I think there's a lot of times people aren't aware of how, I know personally, and you've had to experience this, but even Rich, who had nominated me for that, it was like a 20-second phone call, like 12 years ago. And then we connected on social media. And it's like when we met in person, it was as if we had known each other for like years. It was like a big hug, right? And so people don't realize like social media connections are just the virtual. When you're in person, it's like you've known each other forever.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, he's a great guy. But, I was reminded about this yesterday. I was having a conversation with some friends, and they were telling me about this person was connected to this person, and this person did such a great job on that board. And I said, yeah, I introduced them. And I introduced them. And it was just sort of like, they were like, what? Oh my God. And you just never know, right? You just never know. But so a lot of good things can come from just connecting people, right? And everyone can connect people. All they have to do is think just a little bit about who can help someone. If they have a really good, not even really good, but if they just look through their network or LinkedIn, they can find someone to help them. So everyone can be a connector. Everyone can be can introduce folks and help people. And I encourage people to do that too, because that's the easiest way. There's no cost. Yeah, it's a little time, very little downside risk. And the upside is enormous.
I think for years in like a role of selling, I still do it. I keep people's resumes when I know that they are looking for a job, because I get to meet so many people. And I'm like, hey, send me your resume. If I find something, just tell me who to, right? It doesn't take anything to just help someone out and give them maybe a little bit of an edge.
Oh my God, I get that all the time, as you likely know. And that's another thing, when you see people in your network that lost their job or in a bad place, or you haven't heard from them, just reach out,
Reach out.
offer to help.
Yes,
And then they will never forget that.
that's true.
And the important thing is you will have helped someone. That's a great feeling. I
Yeah.
still remember when I was, going through my ups and downs, and like people were sort of helpful. You never forget it. You never forget that. And that's so I encourage people to do that, on a very, as actively as you can. Just reach out to people, especially these days. The uncertainty is insane. A lot of people are losing jobs or are having personal issues, right? We're in this dilemma. People my age, their parents are dying, or friends or spouses are dying. And that's a brutal time. And, having folks reach out is really important.
And there's so much isolation, I think, still happening right outside of the pandemic. I mean, people can be home, they can work from home, they could have food delivery at home, they could literally never leave their house, and some people would never know. So it's just that reaching out to people. What are you most excited about for the rest of this year? You're traveling to your events?
Those events, yeah, I'm excited for those. I think there's some other thing that I can't talk about, but I'm excited to do initiatives, some new initiatives, and all the good things that come from, launching new things.
The exciting thing, you got to get into Jim's network and ecosystem to find out and learn about what you're doing.
Exactly.
Your two daughters are like somewhat involved sometimes, and so as a dad, that's something you're also trying to nurture, I think, is like youth in tech.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one daughter who's just graduated, who's off to Rutgers, and I'm really proud of how things have gone and how she's, just grown up and matured. And the other one is a rising junior, and I'm excited about her. She had a great school year done well in school and had tried new sports, which are not easy. Lacrosse, that's an intimidating sport. And she stuck with it and had a great experience. And so, I'm looking forward to a fun summer.
Oh, that's wonderful. Are you doing things with, I thought I saw something, was it through Rutgers? You're doing some youth?
I do a camp for an entrepreneurship camp.
Okay.
So that's usually coming up in July for teenagers.
Excellent.
Something that was something that spun up again during COVID. Right? And so we did that online. And so again, I've always been teaching entrepreneurship for many, many years.
Oh, that's amazing.
And so that was really, it was really satisfying because, we've taught like over 450 students so far.
Wow.
That was really impactful.
That's amazing. Well, Jim, a huge thank you just for taking the time to just get to know you as a person. The audience, I will link all of his info. Just find him on LinkedIn. That is where he is posting, and you'll see a lot of really great stuff. I'm excited for your traveling and speaking engagements and to hear more about that, and just excited to continue to be part of your ecosystem, and just so grateful to have you on and your flexibility.
Thank you so much, Roddy. And thank you for your leadership in the community. It's been really delightful knowing you and
same
collaborating more in the future.